Hi again, Vince here with the Tinkerer's Workshop. I received a message from a viewer who asked me about the bench grinder that he saw in one of my videos. That's the grinder you see right behind me here. He was curious about it, wanted to know a little bit more about who made it. So I thought I'd make a short little video just giving some background on it. And I also wanted to send out an invitation if you see anything in any of my videos, a tool or a machine or just something in my shop that you're curious about, feel free to send me a message and I'll see if I can make a video about it. Let's take a look at the grinder. Alright, so here we are at the grinder. This is a Delta triple duty grinder. It was made sometime in around 1936 or 1937. And the way I know that is that the motor, when Delta first introduced this grinder in 1936, the motors they put in them were 1/3 horsepower, and then after a couple of years they stepped that up to a half horsepower motor, and this is a 1/3 horsepower motor. This is a 7-inch grinder, which means that the grinding wheels are 7 inches in diameter, and in this particular one they're 3/4 of an inch wide. And that's another tip, that this is an early model, because when they moved to the half horsepower motor they stepped up the wheels to a 1-inch wide wheel. So this takes a 7 by 3/4 inch wheel. 7-inch grinders used to be kind of the standard for a home shop. It was a fairly common size. Today 6-inch and 8-inch are the ones that you see all the time. You hardly ever see any 7 inches anymore. So finding the wheels for these is you have to look a little harder for them. You're not just going to go find them at a hardware store. But fortunately I've got a fairly good stock of wheels, which probably last me the rest of my life. So I don't have to worry about that too much. I really like this grinder. I found it on Craigslist. I paid $60 for it, I believe, and it was in pretty rough shape when I got it. I ended up taking it all apart, stripping it down, repainting it, replacing the bearings, cleaning up all the bare metal parts. But one of the things that really caught my eye about it when I bought it was that it was very complete. Oftentimes one of the tool rests will be missing, or the lights are broken or missing, the guards and lights here. But this had everything with it. It had the spark arresters that you see here that keep sparks when you're grinding. Sparks will tend to travel around with the wheel and then come shooting out the top of the wheel. So these are called spark arresters because they stop the sparks from coming out. These shields, they've got laminated safety glass in them. I did have to replace the glass in one of these. They also have a light, two light bulbs in each one, and when you turn the grinder on, the lights come on automatically, which is really nice. As you can hear, it's very smooth running, it's fairly quiet. I've used other modern grinders that kind of shake and rattle like a wet dog, and they're really loud, but this one's just a pleasure to use. Turn it on. The tool rests themselves are cast iron, good size. A lot of the modern grinders have kind of a small stamped steel tool rest that they're basically worthless, but these are nice and flat and have plenty of room to do some work on. The water pot, this is a cast iron water pot. Now this was not with the grinder when I bought it. This actually is a reproduction. One of the members on the OWWM site, Old Woodworking Machines, had these recast at Cattail Foundry, and he had a bunch of them made and offered them for sale to any other people that wanted one, so I bought one of those to replace it. You fill that up with water, and then as you're grinding a tool you can dunk it in the water to quench it so you don't overheat the steel. So like I said, just a lot of nice features. I guess one of the things I really do like about this as well is the tool rests themselves. They're articulated, so there's 3 different points where you can adjust it, and there's even a wrench that came with it. But you can loosen these up, and you can move it in and out, and up and down, and swivel this back and forth, and then this one will move it in and out. So it really gives you a lot of options for positioning the tool rest depending on what you're wanting to do. So, like I said, it's just a real pleasure to use. It's probably one of my favorite tools in my shop, and one that I use quite often. One of the things I also like about this is that Delta offered a few really cool accessories for this grinder, and I happen to have, I think, most of those. I didn't get them with the grinder. They're the ones that I'd picked up since I purchased this over the years at different swap meets and things, but I thought I'd show you a couple of those just to see what I'm talking about. Alright, this first accessory is one that Delta called their Edge Tool Grinding Accessory, and really what it is, you take off the basic tool rest and you replace it with this much larger rest, and it's got this slot in it to hold a sliding jig, and this is for grinding plain irons or chisels. You just slide your tool in this way and lock it down, and then you can slide it back and forth to sharpen a bevel. You can adjust this to any angle you want. As you're sharpening, you want to take real light passes, and then you can advance it with this little micro feed dial, and it'll just advance the tool a little bit. Do a couple more passes, advance it, a couple more. This is really handy. I use it if I'm rehabbing an old chisel or plane iron. A lot of the times the bevels are ground at some weird funky angle, or they're just kind of rounded over, so this is a good tool for establishing that initial bevel grind, and then I take it over to stones to finish the bevel. But I really do like this. It's kind of a nice accessory. There's modern versions of these kinds of jigs, but they're usually made out of aluminum. This one's all cast iron, so it's pretty heavy and sturdy. Just a nice tool to use. Alright, here I am set up over on the left-hand wheel of the grinder. Again, I took off the regular tool rest, and I've replaced it with this wheel dressing tool rest. This actually came along with a drill bit grinding accessory, which I'll show you in a minute, but the idea was that you could replace this regular tool rest with this one. You could use it just as a extra wide tool rest, but it's also got this slot milled in it for a diamond dresser, and that just fits right in here. You turn the grinder on, and there's a diamond in the end of this rod here that you just run it past the wheel to true it up, and it's got a little micro feed knob here again so that you can advance the diamond just a hair each time. Get it nice and true so that it's perfectly flat, and that's what you use to then grind your drill bits. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off now and put the drill bit grinding accessory on and show you that. Alright, this is the Delta drill bit grinding accessory. It slides right into the casting, the wheel guard casting. The regular tool rest just slides out, and this goes right in. It's fairly easy to put this in. Using this takes a little bit of know-how. It's not real intuitive. You have to kind of play around with it. But once you do get it down, it actually does a really nice job. Essentially, you've got a couple of different adjustments. You can move this way or this way to get the drill where you want it. And the way it works is you get everything set up, put your drill bit in, and then there's a lever here that you can just rock the drill bit, and it'll give you the amount of back rake you need for a good cutting edge. Then you swing this out of the way, take the drill bit out, rotate it 180 degrees, and do the other lip. And like I said, it does do a really nice job if you take the time to figure out how to use it. So maybe that's something that I could make a video of at some point, just kind of showing you how it works. I know a lot of the old-time machinists will scoff at these attachments and say you really should learn how to grind drill bits by hand. You know, those guys that can do it, my hat is really off to them. It's awesome. I don't grind enough drill bits to get that good at it, so having something like this is, I find, handy. So those accessories I just showed you are original Delta accessories, but I have a few, I wouldn't call them accessories, but a few tools that I use with my grinder, and I just wanted to run through those real quick. First is a star wheel, and I use this to basically deglaze any buildup on the grinding wheel. Sometimes they get clogged with metal particles, or the the grains on the abrasive grains just get kind of, I don't know, I guess rounded over, and the wheel doesn't cut as well. So what this does, basically as the grinder's running, you just kind of ram this in here and move it back and forth, and that just deglazes it and exposes fresh abrasive particles so that it'll start cutting well again. So that's something I use fairly often. Then I have a couple of other dresser tools. This is a single point diamond dresser, and I really like this design because it's got a little lip on each side here, and it runs right along the edge of your tool rest this way. So you can just move it back and forth. This guides it. You get a nice straight edge, and then again it's got a little micro feed, so you can advance the diamond and just kind of gradually get it trued up. So that's handy to have. And then I've also got one of these diamond sticks. I guess there's a whole bunch of little impregnated diamonds in this thing, and this is nice when, and a lot of times I want a very flat face on the wheel, but if I'm grinding woodworking tools, often I'll grind the wheel, or I'll shape the wheel so that it's got a slight convex profile to it. That way you're just kind of sharpening on the very crown of the wheel, and it's a lot easier to control what you're doing. So this is kind of handy for that, because I can move it this way or that way and shape the profile of the wheel the way I want it. So I use this one quite a bit too. I don't think you could see this from the angle that the camera was at before, so I just wanted to show you the tag on the top of this grinder. That's the Delta triple duty grinder. I'm not sure why they call it triple duty, but that's what they're known as. One last thing before I wrap this video up. This is a Delta tool catalog from 1936, and inside on the very last page there is my grinder. Original price was $42.50. Kind of goes over all the features of the tool rest and the light. They call this the twin light, the guard there. This is the benchtop model. They actually also had, here on the back cover, they have the pedestal model. These are really cool looking, this kind of Art Deco looking cast iron pedestal. I actually prefer the bench model just because I can set it on a bench that's more comfortable to my working height. These pedestal ones, I've seen them in person, and they're actually a little bit short, so this one is fine for me. Like I said, I really like this tool, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up. Bye.